अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, एकेडेमिया मैगज़ीन पॉडकास्ट के साथ मैं हूं अली अरशद। नाज़रीन, आज हम बात करेंगे फॉर्मर क्रिश्चियन कॉलेज के हवाले से और फॉर्मर क्रिश्चियन कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी की हायर एजुकेशन सेक्टर में जो खदमात हैं, पाकिस्तान में आला तालीम के हवाले से जो खदमात हैं, कैसे वो पाकिस्तान में जो है तलबा को आला तालीम की फ़राहमी में अपना किरदार अदा कर रहा है और मुल्क की तरक्की में एक अहम किरदार अदा कर रहा है। इस हवाले से बात करेंगे। हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं फॉर्मर क्रिश्चियन कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी के रेक्टर डॉक्टर जोनाथन एडल्टन। उनसे बात करते हैं और मज़ीद जानते हैं। डॉक्टर साहब, वेरी वार्म वेलकम यू और आपके वक्त का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Thank you. Shukriya. Assalamu alaikum.
So, sir, first of all, I will start from the first question, from where you start, for audience, from where you start your professional career and early education.
Okay, ठीक है। मैंने पाकिस्तान में पैदा हुआ, मरी में पैदा हुआ और मेरा तालीम वहाँ मैंने मरी में पढ़ा, मरी क्रिश्चियन स्कूल। और लेकिन वो 57-75 तक मैं पाकिस्तान में था और इसके बाद मैं अमेरिका को गया तालीम के लिए। So मेरा पहले डिग्री कम्युनिकेशंस जर्नलिज्म में है, नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न यूनिवर्सिटी, और PhD इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस टफ्ट यूनिवर्सिटी बॉस्टन में।
So, sir, how do you see the difference between US higher education and Pakistan? अब क्योंकि आपने दोनों ममालिक की तालीम को
जी।
जो है करीब से देखा है और now you are serving in the higher education sector or in Pakistan. So, how do you see?
Gee, certainly some differences, but certainly some similarities as well. I think what we offer at Foreman is a kind of mix because it has its origins in the American system. It has a liberal arts, and so that means a broad education, especially at the baccalaureate level. Specialization maybe comes more at the graduate level, but at the baccalaureate level, for example, my degree was journalism. I took actually 45 courses, and 8 of them were in journalism, but the other 37 were in the humanities, in history, and political science, and also even the physical sciences as well. So for a liberal arts education, the idea is that you will have a specialty. You may have a minor as well. You'll have a major, but you'll also have exposure to the full range of knowledge, not just your one specialty. It also means actually that people can change paths. So in Foreman, for example, many students will come with a thought of being in one particular major, but at the end of year 2, they can make a decision to switch majors if they've been exposed to something that they find more interesting, more challenging. So I think perhaps the main difference is that in the U.S. system, there is the opportunity to explore different disciplines before making your final decision on a major.
Right. So, sir, how do you see how Former Christian College University is playing its role in the higher education sector of Pakistan and for Pakistani students?
So we definitely want to see higher education thrive in Pakistan. And from our perspective, the more excellent universities in the country, the better. We do want to be numbered among those excellent schools. And, so we have our total enrollment is above 9,000. And so obviously we want to influence that. What's interesting to me is some of our graduates have gone on to work in many fields, including actually education field. So sometimes when I'm in the education sector, I'll meet someone and I'll say, oh, I went to Foreman, and maybe they'll be a dean, maybe they'll even be a vice chancellor. And I think we would like to think that the Foreman experience influences them and allows them to broaden their impact on Pakistan as well. So that's one way. I think this example, I think every institution in Pakistan has its focus and its area of interest and its specialization and some things that they're really, really good at. But again, I think for us, the center of gravity is the baccalaureate. But there's also some very active graduate up to PhD programs. And I think we would describe ourselves as contributing to both, research as well as teaching. So we want to be known as an institution that has good teaching, but our professors also, I have in my office, I have a bookshelf of books written by our faculty, and very proud of the fact that our faculty are contributing to research in a variety of ways.
So, is there a lot of problem for students in career choosing, career counseling? There's a lots of problem. The students don't know from he or she can get her or his education in which discipline. So career counseling is a major issue.
Yes.
So FCCU, how can play its role in career counseling? system or for better choice for students.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is actually worldwide as well. I think the opportunities, some people don't pursue something because they don't even know about it. But yes, we do have a career office, careers and internships. Last year, actually, 60 of our students participated in well, this is study abroad programs as well. That's part of that. Many dozens, of course, participated in internships. And this combination of seeing the world and participating in an internship gets some experience with, the different vocations that are out there. I think, I mean, that we also, we have advising office. So there's an advising part. When you come into university, you're assigned to an advisor. At year 2, if you make your decision on a major, you'll get a professor in that major that will also advise you. But beyond that, there's a career services. We recently had a career day, and actually many dozens of representatives from business talking to people, and that career services office is open as well. I guess what I'm implying is that there's the central office that you're talking about is the career office. And we do have a career internship office. We also have a international education office because some people, when they get their graduate degree, are interested in perhaps studying further abroad. And so that helps in that way, and also has some experience as a semester abroad program. And that's where we had those 60 students that participated in the semester abroad. So again, I guess it's the combination of international education, career services and internships, and the advising office. The advising office is an important part of that. So 3 different offices that the student can connect with. And there's other kind of connections they make, but in terms of that question, I think it's true that we put an emphasis on career services and interested in what comes afterwards.
Sir, my next question is how many categories are of FCCU offering in scholarship programs for students? And is that fee structure of this university is feasible or convenient for needy students? And another side, we can quote example of LUMS, National Outreach Program. Is there any program for something like this offering you?
Right. Several aspects to that question. One of them is certainly the types of scholarships, and we have some merit scholarships, and we also have a lot of needs-based scholarships as well. So it's a combination. Sometimes merit scholarships, sometimes need-based, sometimes a bit of both. We do have outreach programs. Our campus here is diverse. We have a steady stream of students from the northern areas, from KPK, from Balochistan, from Sindh, from southern Punjab, and elsewhere. And we consciously, when we talk about the diversity of our campus, we also mean a campus that looks like Pakistan in terms of parts of the country where people come from, socioeconomic background, religious faith communities where they come from as well. So that all comments to it, all contributes to it. One of the interesting ones we had last year, you talked about the outreach program. Working with our students from the northern areas, we had a special outreach program for the Kalash community, which is one of Pakistan's smallest minorities. But
I have visited Kalash in 2020.
Yeah, so we have a couple students, as a result of that outreach program, we were able to enroll a couple students from the Kalash Valley as part of our community. So when we have a cultural evening, it's fantastic because we have, again, all the different groups in Pakistan, including the Kalash and certainly, Punjab, but also the northern areas has the different parts of the northern areas, and of course the Pashtun as well, and Baluch. So it's one of the real joys for me. I've used this image recently as it's common to all the faiths in Pakistan, the notion of a coat of many colors, Joseph's coat of many colors, and we think of our institution as this kind of coat of many colors. And the other image I'll say, and you can see I appreciate history and I like images. In Lahore, I recently took a tour of the Lahore Fort and, go to the Sheesh Mahal, and then the guide puts up his flashlight and there's all these lights. And so it occurred to me that that's what we want.
The traditional touch.
We want Foreman to be a sort of a place of 1,000 lights, where you have the lights reflecting the mosaic of Pakistan.
Next question I can ask in Urdu for whole nation. So आपके इस यूनिवर्सिटी में जैसे आपने बताया कि दीगर सूबों से भी लोग तलबा आते हैं, कैलाश वैली से भी आते हैं. तो is there any figure you can share with our audience कि कितने और किस सूबे से यहाँ पे तलबा की तादाद ज़्यादा आती?
Well, we're a Punjabi institution, and so ज़्यादा talib ilm Punjab से, लेकिन पूरा Punjab, न सिर्फ Lahore, न सिर्फ Central Punjab, लेकिन Southern Punjab, Multan B, DIKB, and Northern Punjab as well.
Okay.
So I think pretty much geographic regions are represented. And again, at our culture nights, you really see it. लेकिन our location is Punjab. Our location is Lahore. So most of our students come from those places.
Yes.
But they, in both directions, when people experience other people's cultures, it's a positive thing. And that's what they get at Foreman.
So now, being a rector from a Christian college, how many challenges you have faced in this position, or how you can sort those challenges with your team, or with your expertise?
Right, right. So I would say two opportunities and two challenges. The opportunities when people came is where people said, "Where did you want to make a difference?" And I guess because of my diplomatic background, I really wanted to deepen our international connections. So that's very important to me, is those international connections. That's the opportunity, and then I also wanted to strengthen the quality. So when I go into work every day, those are two things about, what have I done lately for strengthening our international connections and making us a better institution. On the challenge side, I do get asked this question, and perhaps every vice chancellor gets asked this question. It's a tough job. There's no doubt about it. I think that one would say, and again, this isn't just Pakistan, but the regulatory challenges in higher education are sometimes, they take a while to work through. And, especially when the sector is a very diverse sector, not every approach makes sense in every case. And so our registrar told me that I want to say it was 31 registrations that we have to do every year for different aspects of the university. And he was commenting that every time we finish, these registrations are often for 1 year. So you work very hard at getting the registration, and you're registered for this particular aspect of it. We have a college, we have a university, we actually have a K through 10 school for the children of our service workers. All of these require registrations, and when you've accomplished the registration, you have to start the process over again. So that's a challenge, and that's common to my colleagues in Pakistan, certainly, but also outside of Pakistan. The second challenge is just the human relations. I say that we're a community of moving toward 10,000 students. Of course, if you include the staff and the faculty and the workers, it's like 12,000. So I say we're a village or a small town of 12,000, and humans are as they are. They sometimes have issues with each other and conflict with each other. And I think ultimately, it goes up to the vice chancellor, it goes up to the rector, and it's tough because these are narratives that individuals have, but when people are in conflict, one has to figure out a way to reduce the conflict or to solve the issue. And I realize that comes with the territory, solving the human relations aspect, but no doubt about it that there's a challenge involved in when there's conflict among people, and that comes with the job. It's we actually, by the way, I think have a wonderful community, and people often comment about the way that this diverse community, people get along with each other. But again, the human reality is that sometimes you have to deal with, performance issues or conflict between people or misunderstandings. I will say that most of the time, when it comes to conflict, human conflict or human disagreement, I should say, it falls in the category of sometimes people are miscommunicating. And they sometimes if the communication could be improved, then the relations between people can also be improved.
Right, great. Sir, how do you see, or how do you evaluate industry-academia linkages these days?
Yeah.
There is a huge gap in education sector and industry.
Yeah.
Unemployment rate is too much high in Pakistan. So how do you evaluate industry-academia linkages in FC College, or is FC College is providing opportunities for students for industry internship or any apprenticeship or like job?
Right.
Like
Right. No, that's a great question, and it's actually very timely because you had asked earlier about the careers office. So I mentioned the career day, the career forum that the career office put last week. The title of that forum was careers 2025, linking academia with industry. So even the very title of that particular day, which brought a lot of people from industry to talk to students about what they're looking for when they employ people, when they hire people. So that's definitely something that it motivates the career office. And then also we're having our business school, which is, we have about 1,000 of our students are studying in the School of Management. And for those students also, that link is important. We're having a conference right now. And again, this sort of link between academia and the industry is important. It is true that internships are an important part of what we do. We love to see it. And when we sign MOUs, oftentimes that's linked to an internship, which is really important. We offer some internships even on our own site because, for example, we have this K through 10 Light of Hope School for the children of our service workers. We have a Department of Education, and so some of the education students will have a classroom experience in the classroom at that particular school. We also have a psychological service center, and in that case also, psychology is one of our more popular majors. A student can, during their 4 years here, or maybe as part of their MPhil program, can participate in that community outreach psychological program, psychological services program. So we do have examples even within the university of offering internships. But of course, beyond that, we very much strive to have these linkages, which would allow a student, if they're interested in marketing, to spend a semester at a marketing company. If they're interested in any field out there, and there are certainly companies and groups of companies in Pakistan that take our students for a semester. Some of them continue to work afterwards because they've had that exposure. But I think you're so right, and I think I look back, you're a communications major. Back in the day, so many years ago for me, when I was a journalism student, they had a program they called a teaching newspaper. And for 3 months, you were assigned to a newspaper and you worked. This was in the days of newspaper. Now, of course, it's much more electronic media. But that was fantastic for me to spend 3 months as a student, but working as a journalist. And that sort of image of the opportunity as an undergraduate is to spend some time working in the field that you aspire to is important. We try to make those kinds of experiences available to our student community.
Right, great. So alumni are very important for any institute, any educational or non-educational. So how many alumni are working in Pakistan who are former Knights and on international canvas? So alumni associations, how playing his role for the prosperity and for the success of this institute?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think alumni is one of the things, sometimes when I brief our new employees, I talk about the things that we're proud of, and I talk about our history, and I talk about our beautiful campus. But very quickly, I moved to the alumni. And of course, that alumni goes back to 1864 when we were founded. Yeah. But it's a wonderful list. We do have a very active alumni office. We have gatherings here every year. One of the things we did, we started in, I think it was the year that I arrived, but it was the 76th anniversary of Pakistan's independence. And we said 76 years of Pakistan, 76 former Knights that made a difference. And so we featured short biographies of 76 of our graduates. Since then, every year we do a different booklet. And so one year it was female former Knights that had made a difference. And this year it's going to be former Knights in the health field. I think last year we had a booklet that was former Knights in the IT sector. So we keep track of them. I meet some of them when I travel. I also do a Rector's Update. It's a every month newsletter. And there's a special section there called Alumni. And it constantly amazes me what our alumni are doing. I mentioned, I tell people that wherever I go in Pakistan, so I go up to Hunza. I'm taking a tour of the Altat Fort, and the tour guide is a very recent Foreman graduate. And I'm in an airplane and I'm talking to the person next to me, and maybe he's in business or whatever. Yeah. I'm a Foreman graduate. So it's really quite satisfying. I think, because we've been around a long time, so we do have some great, some great alumni stories in all kinds of ways. That includes graduates of Foreman who were CEOs for Khazana, for Netsol, some of the major IT companies, and certainly in the civil service and the government, in the military. we were just honoring because of the events of the past couple of weeks, honoring a couple of our alumni, one who was admiral, another who was in the Pakistan Air Force. And, I guess we take pride across the way. Partly, I think you're interested in the more recent graduates. What kind of opportunities do they have? And we do try to keep in touch with our recent graduates as well. I mentioned some of them do study abroad. Some of them end up abroad. And although, the motivation here is to strengthen Pakistan, I do think that some of our alumni that end up in interesting, important to senior positions abroad also have a mark. They stay in touch with Pakistan. But again, I can take examples of some of our alumni that in the education sector, in the business sector, in the IT sector are making their mark not only in Pakistan, but they're making a global mark. And again, we pride ourselves in the fact that our alumni choose lots of different paths and are successful in lots of different paths.
Right. So how many students are enrolled in Forman Christian College in the college sector or university side?
Right. So we our enrollment we're not in a rapid growth mode because we prefer quality, I suppose. But on the college side, which historically was how we started as FC College, it's somewhat more than 3,000. It's about 3,500 students. And then if you move on to the university side, it's 5,500 baccalaureate undergraduate students. And then when you're talking about the postgraduate, the MPhils and the master and the MSCs and even the PhD programs, you're talking about 800 or 900. So we are well over 9,000 now in terms of our enrollment, which is about where we want to be. We are moving toward 10,000, and I hope on my watch we reach the 10,000 mark. But again, it's not that it's not like we're trying to get bigger in terms of numbers of students. It's the quality and the international connections that we're really working on strengthening.
Right. So next question I would like to ask in Urdu. Sir, हम quality education बहुत कहते हैं, सुनते हैं, हर कोई कहता है quality education होनी चाहिए. Being an educationist, being a rector this university, आप quality education को किस तरह define करते हैं कि क्या parameters quality education भी होने चाहिए कि जो हम कह सकें कि now we are providing quality education?
So अच्छा सवाल है, बहुत अच्छा सवाल है. अभी एक accreditation process पाकिस्तान में हम सब accreditation ज़रूरी है और हम उसको process करते हैं. लेकिन अभी New England Council on Higher Education, वो US accreditation body, Harvard के लिए, MIT के लिए, Yale के लिए, historic New England universities के लिए, NECI के पास 9 standards. Okay. And it's a great way to become better because you have to follow those standards. So 3 steps, 10 steps hai, 10 kadam hai. There's the eligibility, and then there's the candidacy status, and then there's membership. So in the time that I've been here, the first year we reached eligibility status. Okay. That yes, we're a university that NECI, New England Commission on Higher Education, wants to be associated with. So that was a big step. And then they've come out twice, the team, to assess the institution. How are you doing in Standard 3? How are you doing in Standard 7? And those standards include how you provide opportunities for students, how the governance structure works, what services do you offer, the quality of your faculty, the academics. So again, the biggest step, people might say, would be the step for eligibility. And so last fall, a few months ago, I went to Boston and presented the case for Forman, and we attained the second step, dusra step, eligibility. So the final step is the actual membership. And so that's what we're working on. I just came this morning from a meeting with our committees. There's 9 standards, there's 9 committees, and there's a steering committee, which I'm on as well. And so we're preparing for that report and that visit, but quality in particular. And I think the accreditation bodies in Pakistan as well, that's the number one thing they're trying to do, is to strengthen the quality. It's a long process for NECI. It would make us, if we were, we're the only institution in Pakistan that's at the candidacy status right now. And my comment, because it is a long process, is that this process, no matter what the outcome, this process is making us better. But to go through the first two steps in the past 5 years that I've been here, and to have just that third step remaining, it's something we're proud of. And I think that our students that apply, when they realize that NECI, the same group that has standards that has to be attained by those leading Harvard, MIT, Yale, other institutions, that we're also part of that process, and that we're assessed against those standards that those other world-class institutions have to adhere to.
Right. So how do you see और इज देयर एनी आप भी फेस कर रहे होंगे सो पाकिस्तान में जो हायर एजुकेशन सेक्टर के मसाइल हैं सो हाउ वी कैन ओवरकम दोज इश्यूज with quality education, with the research, or with the providing of better facilities in our education sector. So how we can overcome these issues?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think one important aspect of this is the autonomy and the governance, the academic governance. So I'm the rector, but I will say that we have an academic council, we have a council of deans. It's sort of a self-regulatory process as well. And of course, we have to reach the external standards that are out there. But at the same time, you give space to your faculty, you give space to your deans, you give space to all the people that are genuinely dedicated to improving the system. And that's certainly what we try to do. So the governance aspect, I would say, and the governance also extends beyond that to include your board of directors or your board of governors, and that's important as well. But I think anybody involved in higher education would say that supportive governance, governance that adds to the process, that's really important as well. But I think there's many aspects to this, but I think that our conversations that we have at our university always come back to the students. I mean, the students have to be the core of what your mission is. Working with the students, supporting the students, starting them on a path where they can make a difference to their families, to their communities, to their country, and indeed to the world. I think we would say that one of our jobs, number one, is to ensure a student-centered approach in everything that we do. And then it gets to the discussion about student services. It gets into the discussion about, the faculty advisors, the way that the faculty engage with the students, and all the way up in terms of the 9 areas that if you want to be a truly good university, these are 9 areas that you want to excel at. And that certainly sets the path for us when we try to improve ourselves.
Right. So second last question, then I would close this as an interactive session. बहुत अच्छी टॉक चल रही है, ये इशू ख़त्म करने को तो दिल नहीं चाह रहा, लेकिन वक्त की जो है वो कमी है, मैं किल्लत है सर. अच्छा सर, हाउ वी कैन कह लें कि बच्चों को कैसे हम डिमोबलाइज़ कर सकते हैं सोसाइटी में जो नेगेटिविटी की तरफ जो तलबा जाते हैं, नेगेटिव एक्टिविटीज़, क्योंकि जो उस्ताद है वो एक वालिद की हैसियत से रखता है और नेशन बिल्डर के तौर पे भी है, वो कौम की तामीर और उसके जो है ना मिलत का वो एक पासदार है. तो कैसे एक उस्ताद अपना किरदार अदा कर सकता है तलबा को सोसाइटी में पॉजिटिव किरदार अदा करने में?
Right. So this is a great question also. And there's a couple of things I do want to say, actually. I mean, I think education can teach so much, obviously. And I think like you say, the positive aspects. I do think that human personalities have a certain responsibility for their approach. I mean, one of the things that I say is, I will take hope wherever I can find it. So even when I'm in what I think is a hopeless situation, I'll look for hope there. And there's certain personalities that are able to do that. And I know that people face hardships, they face challenges. But I guess, and it is a concern. I think there's people, you didn't use this word, but the cynicism that someone might have about the world around you. Part of it is that, we're put on this earth for a brief period of time and to make the most difference possible. And again, sometimes that difference is with our friends, with our family, with our communities, and even beyond. And hopefully an education will help someone determine that time that you have, how are you going to spend it? But when I talk about an attitude, I hesitate to do this, but in the U.S. system, you have to do a college essay before you apply. Of course, nowadays they might do that on AI or ChatGPT or whatever. But if you're genuine to yourself, you'll reflect on who you are and where you are and your role in the world and your society and your family. So I don't know if they even do it so much nowadays, but all those years ago when and even for my kids as well, now they're in their 20s, entering their 30s, they had to do the college essay. And one of my kids, several years later, they shared with me the first line on their essay. And that first line was, "I am the luckiest kid in the world."
Okay.
And I that meant so much to me because as growing up in a diplomatic family, they changed school every 2 or 3 years. They had to make new friends every 2 or 3 years. It was hard. It was hard emotionally. It was hard psychologically. And I look at and not all kids in those circumstances would call themselves the luckiest kids in the world. They might say, "Why were my parents always moving me from one school to another?" But that's when I talk about an attitudinal thing. Is that if the frame of mind is that that challenges make you stronger, or the frame of mind is the Russian proverb, "When trouble comes, make use of it." It's a Russian proverb I love, and when trouble comes, make use of it. It means that even in adverse circumstances, even in negative circumstances, you don't have to be negative. You again, this time we have on this planet is a gift, and you use that time as well as you can.
Right, great. So now last question I would like to ask you कि आप इसका जवाब उर्दू में भी दीजिएगा और अंग्रेजी में भी दीजिएगा ताकि हमारी दोनों ऑडियंसेस
जी
सुन सकें. Sir, what message would you like to say from Academia Magazine for his students, for faculty, for alumni of Former Knights?
Okay, well, Former Knights उसको मालूम है कि हमारा motto बहुत अच्छा motto. हमारा motto, by love serve one another, by love khidmat se or mohabbat se khidmat dijiye. Give or kante hai. Let me try it again. By love, mohabbat se, serve khidmat one another. That's both of it's this community, and what it implies, and I say this oftentimes increasingly, is that love is for many people the central theme of the universe, of one's faith. Service is something that gives our life meaning, and one another means that we don't live our lives in isolation. We live it in with each other, and so it goes in both directions. But the notion of service, I mean, that's the message to the wider world, is that you can make a difference by love, serve one another. 5 words, and those 5 words, if that's your that's your guidance, if that's your instruction book for life, by love serve one another, it's probably one of the shortest, but it's probably one of the best instruction books as well. And I know it sounds idealistic. I know in the cynical world people will maybe be critical of that, but I think the notion of service is something that is common to faiths around the world, and that's for me, one of the best successes of Foreman is our graduates leave and they've heard that motto, and many of them do apply it in their individual lives.
So a little bit, we would like to ask this message in Urdu, especially for our audience.
Okay, well, जैसे मैंने कहा कि Foreman का motto मेरे ख्याल में कि बहुत अच्छा motto है, and बहुत साल से मेरे ख्याल में कि 1 साल से ये हमारा motto था. और ये motto, by love, mohabbat se, service, khidmat, serve one another, is how would I say that best? Is it's in community. Aapke, well, you by love serve one another. It's something you do in community with each other. It's, by the way, it's similar to Martin Luther King, the great civil rights leader. His comment was addressed to what he called the beloved community. And I would wish that actually for any institution of higher education in Pakistan and beyond. But for me, it's the challenge. What kind of community are we creating? A community where people are different, where people have different skills, different talents, different views, sometimes very strongly held views that are different. But even with those different views, if you can engage with each other, if you can engage with your fellow students, that's what one strives for. So मेरे ख्याल में कि आपकी ज़िंदगी के लिए खिदमत बहुत अहम बात है और तालीम के लिए भी मेरे ख्याल में कि खिदमत ज़रूरी है. खिदमत ये आपका ये मकसद है तालीम का मकसद है कि यू अ बेटर पर्सन, बेहतर शख्स, it makes you a better person, बेहतर शख्स है, and again it makes it contributes to your family, to your community, to your country, and indeed to the entire world.
राइट सर। जी व्यूअर्स, जैसे आपने देखा कि तालीम जो है वो शख्सियत को बनाने में, निखारने में एक अहम किरदार अदा करती है, और तालीम के बगैर किसी भी माशरे में, किसी भी शोबे में तरक्की नामुमकिन है। डॉक्टर जोनाथन एडल्टन, आपके वक्त का बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने पॉडकास्ट में आज वक्त दिया और हमें अपनी सर्विसेज से और अपने विजन से आगाह किया। आज के पॉडकास्ट से इजाज़त दीजिए। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।
शुक्रिया, शुक्रिया इस बातचीत के लिए।
थैंक यू।